Hi, this is New Time on Silkway TV channel. We introduce you with the most visible news and important events that happened throughout this week in Kazakhstan and Central Asia. More details on politics, economy, social and cultural life with the opinions from the most recognizable expert of Kazakhstan and the world. I'm Nurbek Machani. Let's start with the official agenda. Kazakhstan may gain a new market for its uranium. Finland, one of the leading countries in the field of peaceful nuclear energy. This was one of the key topics of high-level talks between our countries, which became a central focus of the political week in Astana. Finland's President Alexander Stubb paid his first official visit to Kazakhstan since taking office. Yet, this is not his first time in our country. He previously visited Kazakhstan as foreign minister and even trained with some of the nation's top cyclists. So, what did the two leaders agree on? Yergali Ramazanullah has the details.
Even if it may not seem so at first glance, Kazakhstan and Finland share much in common, particularly their forward-looking approach to technology and a mutual desire for progress and cooperation. In this regard, both nations have much to learn from each other. Finland brings expertise in green energy and education, while Kazakhstan offers vast natural resources, a growing economy and access to markets of Central Asia. Blending Finnish precision with Kazakh ambition, this partnership holds the promise of real and lasting results for both sides. From ceremony to substance, the presidents quickly moved to talks held in both narrow and expanded formats. Alexander Stubb brought a rather large delegation along with him. We could see a couple dozens of businessmen who were all interested in Kazakhstan's market. It is worth recalling that just over a month ago, President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev met with Alexander Stubb on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York. At that time, the Kazakh leader expressed confidence that the Finnish president's upcoming visit would further unlock the potential for trade, investment and humanitarian cooperation between the two nations.
We have excellent traditions of mutual friendship and cooperation. We have no problems with that, but anyway, there are many untapped opportunities in our investments, cooperation, in trade. In general, Finland is a very popular country in Kazakhstan, and my people loves Finland, your people, your traditions. There are so many tourists who go to Finland. So I think that your visit is very much timely, and I believe that I have no doubts that it's going to be very much successful.
We'll probably focus on two things. One is our bilateral relations and our business relations. I have a big business delegation with me from Finland, over 20 major companies, and it was interesting to see down the roads when I came here some Finnish brands on the buildings of Astana, like Isku or Honkarakenne, which was really nice to see. And then, of course, secondly, we will be speaking about foreign policy and security matters, because I think we have lots of mutual interests and we're trying to find solutions to complicated situations.
The talks in Astana concluded with the signing of 15 documents. Despite the geographical distance between our countries, there proved to be many points of convergence, from nuclear energy and water resources to digitalization and tourism.
Samruk Kazina group of companies will sign two documents. It will be our 100% subsidiary Samruk Kazina Undio. They will sign a document, cooperation agreement with EPSOE and with Verstalia Oy. EPSOE is a Finnish company who is engaged in water treatment solutions, and therefore we will consider using Finnish technology to treat our wastewaters. And Verstalia Oy is a company which is engaged in producing gas generators, and we potentially considering an opportunity to work with them in terms of increasing of our gas power plant in Adrau region.
Last year, Finland's direct investment in Kazakhstan rose by more than 80%, reaching nearly $500 million. Impressive numbers were presented during the business forum. Finland has long been recognized as one of the world leaders in innovation and technological excellence. Nokia, for instance, remains one of its most iconic success stories. Today, around 50 Finnish companies operate successfully in Kazakhstan, including well-known brands such as Tikurila, Metso and Peikko. The Nordic nation has also achieved notable success in harnessing nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, an area where the interests of our countries align. Kazakhstan views nuclear power as a strategic pillar of its long-term energy policy. According to forecasts, global demand for uranium is expected to rise by 28% by 2030 and more than double by 2040.
Our country is the world's largest uranium producer, meeting around 40% of global demand. We welcome the partnership between the Atomic Energy Agency of Kazakhstan and Finland's Radiation and Nuclear Safety Authority to deepen cooperation in the peaceful use of nuclear energy and to strengthen the exchange of expertise. In this regard, we stand ready to engage in joint efforts on nuclear waste management, drawing on Suomi's safe and sustainable nuclear solutions. At the same time, we are advancing coal-based energy solutions that are cleaner, more efficient, and environmentally responsible. Thus, we welcome Finnish expertise to join this promising cooperation.
The Finnish president continued his official visit to Kazakhstan with a deep conversation with Maksut Narikbayev University students. There, Alexander Stubb expressed support for the Kazakh leader's proposal to reform the United Nations Security Council, stressing that international organizations must evolve in step with the changing world. Responding to questions, he noted that without meaningful reform, global institutions risk becoming obsolete, a sentiment echoed earlier by Kassym-Jomart Tokayev during his address at the UN General Assembly. At that time, the Kazakh president emphasized that reform should begin with the Security Council to ensure greater representation from major nations in Asia, Africa and Latin America, and to amplify the voices of responsible middle powers.
Agency means that you have power, or you have a word, or you have a vote. And I make three proposals. One is to double the size of the Security Council from 5 to 10. And as you mentioned, one from Latin America, 2 from Africa, and 2 from Asia. My second proposal is to remove veto power of the permanent members of the UN Security Council, because that, in my mind, has incapacitated the work of the Security Council. And my third proposal is to withdraw the voting right of a country in the Security Council or elsewhere who is violating the UN Charter. So that would then create a new balance in the system.
To conclude the visit, Presidents Kassym-Jomart Tokayev and Alexander Stubb toured the National Museum of Kazakhstan. The leaders were presented with a rich collection of historical and cultural artifacts spanning from prehistoric times to the present day. They explored galleries dedicated to the ancient Turkic civilization, the art of technology of Great Steppe, and the traditional culture of Kazakh people, a fitting reminder of the deep heritage and enduring spirit that continue to shape modern Kazakhstan. This visit, rich in symbolism and substance, marked another step forward in strengthening the partnership between Kazakhstan and Finland, a relationship built on shared values, mutual respect and a common vision for sustainable and innovative growth. Yergali Ramazanule, New Time.
In an exclusive interview with Silkway TV channel, my colleague Ainuri Mangali spoke with the President of Finland, Alexander Stubb. The discussion touched on a wide range of topics, from expanding bilateral cooperation in innovation and artificial intelligence to the evolving geopolitical landscape and the role of middle powers, like Kazakhstan and Finland, in maintaining global stability. President Stubb also reflected on the shared values of two nations, commitment to the multilateralism, sovereignty and the rule of law, and emphasized the importance of strengthening political dialogue between Helsinki and Astana. Here is a fragment of that conversation.
During your current visit to Astana, you also mentioned that security and foreign policies are one of the key themes in the negotiations with the Accorda. So, in your view, is Kazakhstan's position as an active member of this international process close to that of Finland?
I think foreign policy is based on three pillars: values, interests, and power.
Yes.
And values and interests are things that smaller players or mid-sized players like Kazakhstan can play with. For me, values and interests are something that you have innate. I believe in freedom. I believe in rule of law. I believe in democracy. Those are my basic values. And then I have certain interests, which obviously is about state sovereignty, about independence, about territorial integrity. And I think those things we share very much with Kazakhstan. So we try to promote, you promote things Kazakh, we promote things Finnish, and then we try to find the balance. I think what binds us together is that we believe in a multilateral world where we have international institutions and norms and rules, and that's what binds us together.
What is your vision for the future of the partnership between Finland and Kazakhstan and Finland and Central Asia?
Well, I'd like to expand it even a little bit further. So bilaterally, I think it's going to work because bilateral relations are on one hand state relations and on the other hand personal relations. And I have what I feel is a good personal relationship with President Tokayev. We are able to communicate about key issues together. But when I say I would like to take it further, why not think about some kind of cooperation with the Central Asian 5 and the Nordic 5? Because we have slightly different geographic locations, slightly different experiences, but certainly a form of cooperation that could be fruitful for the future. We'll see how it works out.
Yes.
The full interview with the Finnish leader is available on our YouTube channel. To watch it, just scan the QR codes that you see on your screens right now. Earlier this week, Kazakhstan hosted a visit to the U.S. Special Envoy for South and Central Asia, Sergio Gor, and Deputy Secretary of State, Christopher Landau. Their trip comes at a time of growing engagement between Astana and Washington, focusing on new opportunities in trade, technology, energy, and critical minerals. During the visit, the American delegation took part in a series of meetings aimed at advancing these priorities and preparing the ground for upcoming high-level talks in Washington.
U.S. Special Envoy for South and Central Asia Ambassador Sergio Gor and Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau had a great meeting today with Kazakhstan's President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. The United States and Kazakhstan are expanding key areas of partnership, including on critical minerals, technology and energy. Looking forward to continuing the cooperation next week in D.C.
The visit began in Almaty, where a U.S. delegation met with representatives of American companies and the local business leaders to discuss ways of strengthening economic cooperation. Later, in Astana, they were received by President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev at the Accorda. There, he emphasized that Kazakhstan supports the foreign and domestic policies pursued by U.S. President and praised his contribution to strengthening global peace and security. Sergio Gor, in turn, conveyed the U.S. President's greetings and reaffirmed that Central Asia remains a key region in Washington's foreign policy. According to him, the upcoming meeting in Washington will not only highlight the shared commitment, but also open a new chapter in the development of strategic cooperation between the two nations. The meeting also set the tone for the upcoming C5 plus USA summit in Washington. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev will visit Washington to take part in Central Asia-US Summit, which will be held on November 6th. The high-level gathering underscores the growing importance of the regional format in advancing dialogue, economic ties and security cooperation between Central Asia and the United States. How has the partnership evolved and what new areas of cooperation are on the agenda? More detailed in the following report.
The C5+1 dialogue platform, launched in 2015 in Samarkand under the initiative of then U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, has become a cornerstone of cooperation between the United States and the 5 Central Asia countries. Over the past decade, 14 ministerial-level meetings have been held in Samarkand, Washington, Tashkent, Astana, and New York, as well as several virtual sessions during the pandemic years. Each round reflected the priorities of its time. Early discussions focused on regional security, while recent ones have shifted toward green economy, connectivity, and digital transformation. Throughout the years, dialogue has evolved from a diplomatic exchange into a strategic partnership mechanism shaping long-term regional stability and integration.
Throughout those 10 years, I've seen the cooperation develop in a lot of different directions: security-related, economic-related, related to trade, energy, water, many other areas. But the most important thing that we've seen over the past 10 years for me, and I think for all of those involved 10 years ago, is the cooperation among the Central Asian countries. I think the C5 without the plus is actually been the most significant achievement of the last 5 years, the way the 5 countries have started to integrate and cooperate more closely.
A major turning point came in 2023 when, for the first time, the Central Asia-US Summit was held at the presidential level in New York, chaired by then President Joe Biden. 2 years later, a similar high-level meeting is set to take place once again, this time at the invitation of President Donald Trump, marking a new phase of continuity in the C5+1 format. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev emphasized the timeliness of this initiative, stressing that it opens new opportunity for balanced cooperation based on mutual respect and economic partnership.
I think the timing is really great because the global supply chain is transforming, and we see a lot of new dynamics, new cycles in the global economy. So it's not just geopolitics that we're talking about, it's geoeconomics basically. So we are open towards this invitation, and I think there is a lot to explore on the think tank level, human capital, business to business, government to government, and we just need clear-cut a roadmap for our business community to explore.
Expanding the dialogue beyond governments, the region and the U.S. launched the B5+1 Business Forum, first held in Almaty in March 2024. The new format gathered over 200 participants from Central Asia and the U.S., including representatives of international financial institutions and private sector leaders. Its creation followed the New York Declaration of 2023, which recognized regional economic integration and investment attraction as key to Central Asia's long-term stability and prosperity.
It's about the whole society of Central Asia with the whole society of America. And I actually think that's really important. And by the way, it isn't just about B5 business. It's not just business. It's also universities. It's scientists and students and even tourists going back and forth. I think that this network of relationships between the United States and its people and Central Asian people is really important for the long term. Governments come and go over time. You know, leaders change, presidents change, but the abiding interest of the people of the region with the United States will remain. And I think that's very powerful for the future.
Today, the partnership agenda is broadening further from energy transition and agriculture to artificial intelligence, creative industries, and digital technologies. Experts emphasize that the U.S. is increasingly focused on critical minerals, data infrastructure, and the Trans-Caspian transport corridor vital for connecting landlocked Central Asia to global markets. Central Asia, with its growing tech ecosystem and strong human capital, remains a key driver of these initiatives.
In Washington, D.C. is going to be pro-business, proactive business. So I believe that is the biggest change. We see a startup community there, people from the companies that can be scalable in U.S. I mean, we're speaking about the restaurants, we're speaking about the food industry, food diplomacy, we're speaking about new supply chain industries. So it's about a human capital, it's a creative industry that can be applied. So I think the dynamic is there.
As the upcoming summit in Washington marks 10 years since the establishment of Central Asia-US Summit, the dialogue is expected to take on a more practical and business-oriented tone. From security and green tech to supply chains and creative industries, both sides are seeking to turn political dialogue into real economic results. Analysts agree Central Asia's role as a bridge between East and West is no longer just geographic, but increasingly strategic. Raya Slobek, New Time.
Meanwhile, in the world, the US has announced a cut in tariffs on Chinese imports, now set at 47%. The decision came right after Donald Trump's high-stake meeting with Xi Jinping in Busan, the first since Trump returned to office. The talks were part of his broader tour across ASEAN nations. How it all played out in the following report.
This week, Donald Trump embarked on a high-profile tour across Asia, with stops in Malaysia, Japan, and the last leg of the tour, South Korea. It was there that the US president met with Xi Jinping for the first time since the start of his second term. The long-awaited talks centered on what many experts have dubbed the economic equivalent of the nuclear war, the escalating tariff tensions between Washington and Beijing. Inside the meeting room, 14 officials, 7 from each side, spent nearly 2 hours discussing some of the most sensitive issues: tariffs, rare earth metals, semiconductors, and other key sectors shaping global trade. By the end of it, Donald Trump called the meeting highly productive.
You got it? No. Can't get to our stick. Camera.
The first announcements came just hours later on board Air Force One. Speaking to reporters, Donald Trump said China would immediately resume purchases of American soybeans, a move seen as crucial for US farmers. He also confirmed that Washington would roll back tariffs on all Chinese goods, restrictions which were initially imposed in response to chemical ingredients for fentanyl entering the United States. Another key development: Beijing is set to open direct talks with NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, with the US acting on what Trump called a sort of referee in those discussions. The two sides also agreed to work together toward resolving the Russian-Ukraine conflict. Describing the talks as a great success, Trump announced plans to visit China next April, with Xi expected to travel to the United States soon after.
I thought it was an amazing meeting. He's a great leader of a very powerful, very strong country, China, and what can I say? It was an outstanding group of decisions, I think, that was made. A lot of decisions were made too.
Not long after, China's officials released its own summary of the agreements reached in Busan. Beijing confirmed it would suspend the implementation of its export controls measures for 1 year, a significant step back from the recent restrictions on rare earth and other critical materials used in high-tech manufacturing. In response, Washington will also pause for a year a rule expanding trade restrictions on entities linked to sanctioned companies. Washington will also freeze measures targeting China's maritime, logistics, and shipbuilding sectors, with Beijing pledging to do the same.
The two sides, adhering to the spirit of equality, respect, and mutual benefit, can find solutions to problems through dialogue and cooperation. The results of the economic and trade consultations were not easily achieved. Both sides agree that China looks forward to working with the United States to effectively implement the agreements, thereby injecting more stability and certainty into Sino-US economic and trade cooperation and the global economy.
In the days following the meeting, China's stock market surged to a 10-year high, a clear sign of investor optimism. The Shanghai Composite Index gained more than 2% over the week, reaching 4,025 points. For now, the tariff rate on Chinese imports will stand at 47%, and while ink is not on paper yet, as Trump said, a deal could be signed pretty soon. Almir Amirov, New Time.
Is this the end of the ceasefire? Israel has launched a new airstrikes on the Gaza Strip, with reports saying at least 104 people have been killed, including women and children. Local sources say one of the strikes hit their residential area, leaving several Palestinians trapped under the rubble. The Israel Defense Forces claim the strikes targeted militants holding senior positions within armed groups operating in Gaza. Despite the renewed attacks, Israeli officials insist they remain committed to the ceasefire agreement. Meanwhile, displaced Palestinian families have expressed deep concern over a possible return to a full-scale fighting, describing sleepless nights and dwindling supplies as children fetch water near the crowded tent camps. The truce between Israel and Hamas came into effect on October 10th, following 2 years of almost uninterrupted hostilities in the enclave.
We are scared that another war will break out because we do not want a war. We've suffered 2 years of displacement. We don't know where to go or where to come. I didn't sleep all night. I heard the planes bombing. Every time they bomb, there are 100 mortars. Nobody's looking for us. The whole world is watching us.
Kazakhstan has signed the United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime. The signing ceremony took place in Vietnam's capital, Hanoi, with the participation of the Kazakhstan's delegation led by First Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs, Baurjan Alenov. Notably, Kazakhstan played an active role in developing the draft convention, representing national interests and contributing proposals to create effective mechanisms for international cooperation. The newly signed convention will enable Kazakhstan to exchange electronic evidence with other countries more promptly, strengthen cross-border investigation into cybercrimes, and better protect citizens from online fraud and cyber attacks. And finally, turning to sports, Astana has hosted the first Open Table Tennis Cup of the President of Kazakhstan. The tournament brought together more than 300 athletes from 14 countries, including players ranked in the ITTPF World Top 100 and Kazakhstan's strongest representatives. For 5 days, participants competed in team and individual categories among adults and juniors. Organizers plan to make the tournament an annual tradition, and in 2027, Kazakhstan will host the World Table Tennis Championship.
Really exciting from day one. I am particularly pleased with the performances of the small boys and girls under 11, really beautiful to see, but also the performance of the top athletes, and of course today the show of our former champions. And we look forward to continue cooperating for the future of table tennis in your country.
The event was also attended by President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, who watched the show match featuring world table tennis stars, one of the main highlights of the Cup. During the visit, he met with renowned players and legends of the sport from China, Austria and South Korea. That's it for today. All the main news about Kazakhstan and Central Asia you can find here. More special projects about our country you can also watch on Silkway TV channel. So stay tuned and see you next week.